So how do you know which timeline you're on? That's what we're going to be talking about today. I often share information with you about what's going on our timeline. I've shared information with you before about the timeline wars, about timeline jumping. So this begs the question, how do you know? How do you know which timeline you're on? I'm going to answer that question for you today. In fact, the two main things that we're going to be looking at is exactly that. How do you know which timeline you're on? And number two, what are the nature of the two timelines on planet Earth right now? Wow. The current timeline that we're on, it's doing something that would never normally happen. And that is, it is hosting so many different frequencies, so many different worlds within one timeline. This normally doesn't happen. They had to get all of the timelines, though, into one space, much like the eye of the needle, that point at which we're at right now, where all timelines must collapse into one space in order to either move forward into 5D or into a new 4D window. That's what's taking place right now. When I say to you, they had to get all of the timelines into one space, essentially, that's what facilitates ascension, and that's what sets apart our current time. Who is that they? Who is this they? Is there an oversight body that monitors ascension? Yes, but who are they? They are you. They are our monad. The monad is your oversoul. The oversoul oversees, because that's the job of the oversoul, they oversee all matters to do with your ascension, your evolution, your consciousness. So the monads know, okay, we've got to usher everything into one space right now. And from this one space, everything's going to splinter off again. Let me explain more about that. If you and I could somehow move outside of the timeline, that we could observe it from the outside, do you know what we would see? We would see something that looks kind of crazy. It contains so many different worlds, so many different frequencies. A timeline doesn't normally look like this. A timeline normally looks very calm, very stable, because it has so many similar frequencies upon it. Even if you were on a timeline and there was somebody on that timeline that was very opposite to you, opposite in their viewpoints, opposite in their perspectives, opposite in their nature, you would still have enough in common to easily populate the same timeline. Right now, even if somebody's opposite to you, they are so opposite that there is no ability to relate to them. There is so much distance between you and the polar opposite of you that these create these anomalous, divergent experiences within a timeline, and then that timeline almost battles to contain all this information. It battles to host because it's not designed really to do this. It can certainly do it temporarily, which is what this is. This is a temporary holding space. The timeline we're in is a temporary holding space where all of these divergent timelines are coinciding. Imagine if we could see. Imagine if we zoomed out and we could see the timeline from the outside. What would it look like? Pulsing, breathing. You might even say to me, ooh, it looks kind of like something's about to pop. It looks kind of like something's about to blow, because it is, and that would be true. So it's packed to capacity. So much so that it's doing this and it looks like something wants to pop right out of it. That's what the timeline looks like right now. Remember, timelines normally have more similar frequencies. This one hosts so many different worlds, so many different frequencies, that it's almost like there's this jostling for space, vying for space, and there's this bumping up against each other because the divergent viewpoints are so many. Now, at the point of ascension, there's going to be one timeline that splinters off of the current one. That's why I talk about two timelines. There's one timeline right now, but there's a stream within the current timeline that is about to splinter off. And when I say about to splinter off, at the ascension point. When is the ascension point? If you're asking that question, watch my playlist on ascension. I go through it multiple times. We're not going to know. We're not supposed to know. What is ascension? Again, watch that playlist for more information. The simplest definition of what ascension is, it's the great solar flash. It is a cosmic dance that enables the phase shift of the body, the phase shift that the body is designed to undergo. It is the cosmic dance. It is the ignition of a great flash of light that comes from the universal sun through to the galactic sun, through to our solar sun, through to our planet, through to our bodies. A communication, a great cosmic communication is had at that ascension point, and it simply says, it's time. We're done. We're done playing this game where the rules of the false matrix dominate. See, what we're doing in this ascension window is unlike any previous ascension. This is so vastly different from what we've done before. What we've done before looks very tame, looks very mild. This does not. And part of the reason why is because this does not just affect us here on planet Earth. This affects all false matrices throughout the cosmos. Because what we're in the process of doing is collapsing one false matrix here on Earth so completely. We are alchemizing it so properly that there will be nothing left of it. And when that false matrix is alchemized to the point of its highest expression as light, as consciousness in physical form, again, that's what we're in the process of doing, that irrevocably changes the structure of all false matrices. That's why there are so many people that do not want ascension to take place. It is not in the interests of those who oversee the false matrix and those who want to propagate numerous other false matrices. They're almost in a desperation to prevent what is already taking place right now, which is this great transformation, this great alchemical rebalancing of darkness into your exquisite light. That timeline that veers off at the point of ascension is populated by people who are saying, look, I'm pretty much done, but not ready. I'm done, but not ready to go into 5D, not ready for life at the higher level. I still have things to do. And do you know what? For an infinite being, we don't have a bus to catch. We don't have a clock to keep. So as an infinite being, if you want to undergo another ascension window, which is many, thousands of years, even thousands of lifetimes long, that's okay. You're free to do that. There's no rush because there's no time. You're infinite. So there are those people who are saying, look, I still want to play, but I don't want to play in the false matrix anymore. So these are the people veering off. They veer off at the point of ascension. They go into a new life and they go in to kind of learn, but in an easier way, without the amnesia, without the forgetfulness that we've experienced here on this planet, without the coercion, much more freedom. So it's going to be an easier ride, basically, for those who are moving off into the new 4D world. When they do, no, they don't keep the same body, the same name. It's just like when you arrived at this planet. You didn't keep the body you had before this one or the name before this one. Totally new life. Exactly that is going to happen for that splinter group. Now let's talk about the primary timeline. That's the one that we're on right now. That's the one that's doing this, that looks like it's about to blow. Okay. What it's going to do is it's going to synthesize, it's going to alchemize everything. That's the job of this one timeline. And those who are running the timeline are those who are of the highest frequency, the highest bandwidth. That's why you guys are called front runners. That's why you're called way showers, light bearers, because it's the nature of light. See, the nature of darkness is that it has no real influence. The nature of light is that it has a massive ripple, a massive effect. That's why those who steer the timeline are those, there can be very few, but they are the people who hold the highest frequency. The rest of the timeline tends to march along with that high frequency. The high frequency sets the tone. And the tone has been set, and it says we're ascending into 5D. So everybody, hold on to your hat. The job of the timeline and those leading the timeline is to bring everything into balance within themselves. You can only balance your own life. But the point of that balance is going to be so heightened. The point of the enlightenment, of the harmony, of the infinite nature of you and your ability to realign with it, the point, the degree of that is going to be so beyond 5D. So yes, there are people that are leading the timeline right now who are already in 5D, who will, at that point of ascension, quite easily move into 7D, for example. This is not a limited journey that you can only go 5D. There are people who are going to catapult themselves right into 7D. There are going to be people that are in this primary timeline that at the ascension point are going to go, look guys, it's been real, I'm done. I'm now moving off into another 5D world. So that's a possibility. However, the vast, overwhelming majority of people are going to go, you think I'm going to leave? You think I walked this journey with this planet in this incarnation, in this life to leave now? No, because this is where it gets good. This is what we worked for. We worked to bring Eden back, which means we worked to return the false matrix to the organic template from whence it comes, to the original blueprint. Many of you here are gatekeepers, wisdom keepers of that original signature energy of Earth in her highest vibratory frequency, her highest expression. So at the ascension point, what happens is we remain here on this planet, but in the highest expression. So what happens to all the plastic? What happens to all the pollution? What happens to all the buildings? What happens to all the remnants of the false matrix at the ascension point? It collapses entirely. I will link a video for you in the description box below, and I'll pop it up here as well, that talks more about what happens at the solar flash, how we exude and radiate a bubble of protective light, each one of us, around us. Yes, your animals are in there. Yes, your children are in there. Many family members are in there as well. Go watch the other videos where I explain more about that. So come back with me to this timeline. We've got people splintering off into 7D, but staying, by the way, so when I say splintering off, staying in this timeline, staying with the planet's going to easily be able to host 5D, 6D, 7D beings, maybe even beyond. So there will be those who say, I'm pretty much done with Earth. I came what I came to do, and I'm going to go back to another planet, another home base. Adios, I'm out of here. There will be those, right? But they move off into a higher world. Here's an interesting thing. There will be beings of darkness who cannot be saved, will not be saved, refuse change, refuse the possibility of returning to light because they've become so addicted, so depraved, so lost to darkness. And by the way, what they're addicted to is to darkness itself, that it's just not within them to go to that 4D planet that I spoke about. It's not within them to go to the 5D planet. And I am talking about a very small percentage of very corrupt beings. These beings are given a choice. The choice is you either get evaporated back into light. So that means the individual self will be no more. Some would call this obliteration. This is where the soul gets reabsorbed back into the original God source. This doesn't normally happen. But there are those beings upon the planet right now who are holding a level of depravity and corruption within them that is not allowing them to grow, and the point of life is growth. And not only is it not growing them, there is no longer a populace agreeing to stay under the realm of darkness and in the realm of forgetfulness. They don't have those volunteers like we once were, because we're saying, look, the false matrix, it was fun, it was real, but we don't recommend other people come in here. That's why we've worked so hard to collapse the false matrix itself. This is not just about ascension. So those beings of darkness, very small percentage of them, tiny percentage of them, they will either move off into 4D, right, where they're going to get the opportunity to really restructure, to really grow into a higher expression of who they are, or if they stay with that 5D planet, the 5D timeline that is, they don't have the capacity to jump up into 5D, most of them. So what they're going to do is they're going to return to the sun. They're going to return to the source of light from which they originally come. And essentially, if you could think of it like this, God's going to take everything back. That's how I see ascension, truly. I see ascension as the point where God takes back the original creation template that belongs to God's source consciousness and takes it back from those dark players and says, look, you had your fun. You had your time and it's done now, and I'm taking everything back, including the darkness, reabsorbing it back into myself, alchemizing it back into myself, because that is all that darkness is. It is just a part of the original creation template that got wayward, that got lost. So how do you know? How do you know which timeline you're on? Is it the 4D splinter group or is it into 5D? Okay, here's how. The 4D splinter group, those people already know inside themselves that they're not going to 5D. They already know it because they're walking around going, done. Don't want to be here. I am not interested in growth. These are the kinds of thoughts that they have and the kind of things that they'll say. They'll say, I didn't choose this. I didn't ask for this. Other people are responsible for my journey in the false matrix. Other people are accountable. Other people are to blame. I won't take responsibility for them. Screw them, basically. They stuffed up. They messed up my life, and I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm going to wait for God to come and fix this. I'm going to wait for someone to come and fetch me because I'm stuck and I can go no further. So what that is blame, self-pity, victimhood, refusal of responsibility. That is a stubborn refusal to grow. Those people, those are the ones that are going to populate that 4D timeline purely because they've gone as far as they can right now. And they're going to move off into another growth opportunity. And that's why I said to you, it's going to be elevated. It's going to be easier. It's not going to be as hard as this. They're the ones who are going, this was too hard. I didn't sign up for this. This was beyond what I asked for. This was beyond what I could do. One of the telltale signs, though, is blame of others. And they get very righteous and indignant about who's to blame, who is wrong, almost as if they can't move on until the wrongdoers are punished. What they don't realize is that they're holding themselves back. What they don't realize is that they're preventing their growth. They're, in essence, punishing themselves. And that's, again, this is okay. This is not a wrong choice and a right choice. Let's just say I move off into 5D. And how do you know you're going to do that, by the way? That's also a valuable question. How do you know? Well, you're not making excuses in your life. Instead, what you do is you're taking strides to learn more, grow more, be more. You want. There's a desire. Even if you say, I don't know how to grow, I want to grow. There you go. That's it. Your fate is sealed. That is you entering into 5D. There's a lot of people right now. I see their innocence. I see their sheer desire. They're saying, I just want more. I just want evolution. I just want healing. And I know that so many of them feel lost, and so many of you guys tell me you feel stuck. You don't know which way to go. I have an online community, and the reason I made it is for you. The online community is a weekly coaching call into your divinity. So for those of you who are saying, I need support in my growth, hello, it's available. Go to my website, kerrykay.com, join the Plasma Light Tribe. For those people who are saying, I don't know how to move forward, but I want to, you're going to do it. One way or the other, you're going to move into 5D because the desire for growth is there. If you're capable of taking responsibility, if you're able to differentiate between blame and responsibility and see that blame, whether it's self-blame or blame of another, is getting lost in punishment, which has got nothing to do with resolution and power, because responsibility is a one-way ticket into your power. So those people who are moving off into 5D, they're pretty easy to spot. They're pretty easy to see. Something in them holds a level of purity. Those people who are moving off into 4D, what they all have in common is a tremendous stubbornness and an idea that this is not mine to solve, this belongs to somebody else. So your life doesn't have to be perfect. Your life doesn't have to be glowing in divinity and perfection. You can say to me, I've got this issue, I've got that issue, but have you got the willingness and the desire to move into your divinity, even if that means letting go of things that you really loved, like control? Control was only ever a sense of stability and normalcy in a world of uncertainty and chaos and instability. That's all that control ever was. But it's a difficult illusion to let go of for a lot of people. The willingness to let go of that control, rather than your ability to have done it already, is what determines your trajectory into that higher dimensional outcome. All paths are collapsing into one space right now. It's okay that life looks chaotic. Only be in your world, not in everybody else's. And it's easy to get in everybody else's business right now because everybody else is trying to get into your business right now. Allow yourself to keep coming back home to you. This is what's important. Your world is what's important. Don't dilute your power by making your life about others. So some of the common questions I get asked is, what's going to happen when somebody moves off into 4D? Let's just say we've got friends, family, loved ones, they move off into 4D, you move off into 5D. People often ask, will I be able to speak to them? No, because you're literally living on a different planet. Those people who have moved off into 4D have moved off into another life. You can't, free will, right? You can't go and wake them up before they are ready to wake themselves up. When they come into 5D, then you'll chat again, then you'll remember each other again. And it's not that you'll lose them. It's that you'll know, oh, right, they just took a detour and I'll catch them at the next stop. We'll meet up again. From my heart all the way into yours. So much love, everyone.